Hi cooking friends and family, I want to show you. I'm here at the store and I am looking to buy a whole chicken because I'm going to make a big batch of chicken noodle soup, and I wanted to show you the ingredients. This one has some things in there that you need to be aware of. You would think that would not be in there. And then look at this little guy, which is the one I'm going with. The only ingredient is chicken. Make sure you're mindful. Alright, so I ended up going with this guy right here, this beautiful guy, because of the ingredients. Chicken! So I'm going to wash this and get it right into my slow cooker. You can take, if there's pieces inside, like any kind of giblets or anything like that, you can take that out if you want, but you can also leave it in for flavor, because we're going to strain all the broth out at the end and get that good broth that we're looking for. So that extra parts is what we'll call them, actually help to really bring out the flavor. Except for liver. I feel like liver can kind of turn when you're cooking it slow. So up to you. You can pull the parts out or just take them out. But basically wash your chicken and put it into a slow cooker. Alright, my chicken is rinsed and I got all the insides cleaned out and popped it into my slow cooker. And so I'm going to use 3 stalks of celery, handful, so about a cup of carrots, a big onion, and I'm using bell pepper. I want this full of good vegetables. All right, look how beautiful this looks. So I am trying to keep this as clean as possible because I want nature to do its job. And so be very mindful of pre-mixed seasonings because they have little hidden ingredients a lot of times that are not good, no bueno. So just good old salt and pepper. I'm going to use a little bit of Italian seasoning for this one. And every batch I do is kind of a little bit different, so you can adjust if you don't like onions or if you don't want to do the bell pepper, whatever you want to do. I'm going to do some poultry seasoning here. And just kind of how I always do it is just a gentle sprinkle all the way across the surface of whatever I'm working with.
It's coming for me.
Okay. And then turmeric. Now I'll go a little more light-handed with the turmeric. Turmeric is awesome. So good for your body. And then I am going to add some olive oil. And then a little drizzle of good quality olive oil, just for good measure, because I think healthy fat is so important in our diet. Let me show you too. My favorite salt right now is this Morton's natural sea salt. I love it. I think it's good, it's salty, and only thing in there is sea salt. Don't confuse it with the Morton's iodized salt. I don't even really know what iodized means, but look at the difference in the ingredient list. Why add all that anti-caking agent? Ew. So be careful with your ingredients. Take the time to read at the grocery store. Enjoy the process of it. And pick the most healthy, cleanest ingredients that you can find because your body will thank you for it. Okay, so now I'm going to fill this with water to the brim, as high as I can go without it boiling over, because I want as much broth as I can render down. And I might check it to about 5 hours in. Yes, I said 5. And add water to it because it will boil down, and I want to have as much broth to make as big of a batch as I possibly can. So I'm going to add the water now, and then we're going to crank this up on high and get this baby going. All right, water is in as high as I can get it. Mine took probably about 12 cups. And of course, I'm using my big bad boy. I love this crock pot. It is the biggest one I've got, and I love to make soups in it. So here we go. All right, so I am using my Big Bertha, we'll call this one. This is the biggest one I've got. I'm not sure how big it is, but it's my favorite, especially for soups. And then I'm going to tell you guys, cook it to smithereens. Don't worry about the meat drying out. It won't happen because you're going to shred it, and it's going to be mixed with dark meat and light meat, and it's just going to be so perfect, trust me. Honestly, the longer you can cook it, the better it gets. So oftentimes I'll do this step overnight so that I can assemble everything the next morning. I really recommend whenever you're doing some kind of bone broth based soup, at least 10 hours on high. If you can do it longer, great. You might have to check your water level to make sure your water is not boiling down. So about midway, I'll check it and add more water to it, because one of my goals is to get as much broth from this as possible, so that you can either feed a crowd, share it with friends who might have just had a baby, or maybe who aren't feeling well, especially with this crazy COVID-ness going on. But it also freezes well too, which is one of my tricks, to keep some in the freezer at all times so that when my family gets sick, I can pull out some fresh chicken noodle soup. Okay, and we are done, baby. I didn't even have to add any extra water to this guy. Could have, but I didn't. All right, so I'm gonna let this cool, and I will show you how to pull the rest of this together. Sorry for the steam. There we go. Here, look at that beautiful broth, guys. Woo. All right, once it's cooled a little bit, I'm gonna use these fun little thingies to try to remove the whole entire chicken to the best of my ability. All right, chicken is out, and this is why I tell you guys, don't worry about overcooking it because it is just fall off the bone tender, and we're gonna shred it super fine. Next step, I take this little colander from my parents and I put it in a glass bowl, just like this. I set this into the sink, and I'm gonna pour all this broth into the strainer so that it falls into this bowl and I get the glorious golden broth. All right, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And then when you lift this off, you're left with all the yummy veg, which I am gonna salvage when it cools a little more. And then down below is all the magic, the broth that you're after. So I'm gonna set this to the side, and then I have to go through it very carefully to make sure there's no bones. Teeny tiny bones can be in there too. And then I'm gonna save those veggies because that's gonna be part of our chicken noodle soup too. Once you get all your glorious golden broth, you can actually taste your seasoning at this point and then adjust it as you need to. So if you need a little more salt or pepper, whatever you would like to add at this stage, this is a good time to kind of just taste it and get a feel for it and adjust it accordingly before you continue. Depending on how large you want your batch to be, I often add water to it midway, and we just had so much fun today with the boys being home that I forgot that step, but it's not too late to just add a good old hearty helping of water because I need as much broth as I can get. I want a big batch, and it's not gonna harm what we just did here. So now I'm gonna take my slow cooker and I'm gonna add my broth back to the slow cooker. There's a little bit of veggies down. I did check to make sure there were no bones left over in the pot though. No bones, no gristle. Those veggies are fine because that will be part of my soup here in a minute too. So also too, you can do this again, like I said, the night before. So that way that you can have this step done, and then tomorrow or the next day you can assemble your soup. You also can stop at this point too, where you just have your broth, and then tomorrow you can work on your deboning of your chicken and sorting through your veggies to make sure there aren't any bones. So you can do it all in multiple steps, or you can knock it out all in one day based on the time frame. Next step, once my veggies are cool enough to touch, then I've got to sort through all these babies with my fingers to make sure I can feel teeny tiniest of bones. Whenever I cook this for somebody else or cook with bones, I do always advise somebody to be careful because there might be a little bone or gristle that they may come across that I missed, just to give them fair warning. All right, veggies go back into the broth. All right, so now when my chicken's cool enough to touch, I'm gonna work on deboning it and taking away all the fat and gristle, bones over here, good shredded meat over here. All right, so once my chicken is super shredded, and I do prefer to use my hands, guys, because you've got to make sure that there's no bones. So I really, really wash often. So now I'm going to take all this beautifully shredded chicken, and I want all of it in there because this is some hearty chicken noodle soup. And then I just take it and gently pour it to that beautiful golden broth. Remember, we have turmeric in there too, which is delicious. Okay, now I'm going to tell you my trick that I like to do. So mine has been going all day, y'all. And I have a sweet little Caden bear on the couch asleep. Well, I am a big believer that the longer things cook, the better they get. But I also think that oftentimes when your flavors can marinate, like overnight, for example, when I make spaghetti sauce, I always make it the day prior, and then I pull it all together the next day because I feel like that love, the act of love and sacrifice that goes into making a multiple day dish just makes the flavors that much better. And so for me, I'm gonna stop tonight and put this in the refrigerator. It's cooled, and I'm gonna put the lid on it and pop it into the fridge. Also, make sure you taste it. It's so important to taste it as you cook to make sure it's salty enough, and that way you can kind of adjust it before you go forward. So I'm gonna let my flavors marry. Should you want to continue, you would just have your boiled noodles al dente, ready to go, drained, and you just pour them in here and then warm through. Okay, so I'll show you kind of how to pull it all together. Of course, there's my trusty sidekick here trying to get some tastes. But I've got some sleepy bears on the couch, and I'm ready to go snuggle them up tonight. So stay tuned for the next part of this delicious 2-day from scratch chicken noodle soup. Good morning, cooking friends and family. So I've adjusted my seasoning. You could kind of see on top before I started to stir. This is fresh from the refrigerator. Now, I don't always do this step if I don't have time. Like I said, I often like to make it during the night so that in the morning I can just crack away and get it all prepared so that it's ready to go. But when I do have the time to just really pour the love into this pot of goodness, that is what I like to do. And so from this step, after I have got my broth, my veggies are all sorted, my chicken is done, now I'm gonna add a hefty wedge of lemon, and I'm gonna squirt it in here first. I love lemon, you guys. I love to drink lemon water every day. I love to cook with lemon. I'm gonna put the rind in here now too, and I will pull that out before I serve that. I do have clean hands. And then now I'm gonna also add some garlic. Okay, I'm also gonna add my garlic to this. And I do it at this step because sometimes when you're using a slow cooker, I feel like your garlic can get a little bitter and your lemon can get a little bitter if you're not careful, if you overcook it or add too much. So just one wedge will just do a little magical flavor. And I want you to taste your broth, taste what you've got so far and adjust it. Mine definitely needed a little more salt content, and so I needed to pivot a little there. What I'm gonna do now is just go ahead and bring this to warm. If you want to, you can kind of see how much it's dissipated down. You can go ahead and add water up to that, probably like right around here. Because for me, the goal is that beautiful broth. I want a lot of that broth because I still have to add my pasta to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of water, maybe to the halfway point, so that there's room for my pasta to come in here too. It will not mess up what you've done to get this beautiful bone broth, trust me. You don't have to do that. Again, I just like to share like ideas with you to get you a baseline, and then you know, part of cooking is just like really just using your own instincts to pivot and kind of create your recipes too. So all right, so I'm gonna get this warmed. I'm gonna go ahead and do it on high because it'll take a while. It's cold from the fridge. And then I will add my yummy noodles. I will tell you too, if you're not worried about clean eating or anything like that, you know, because let's just face it, sometimes you just gotta live your life, right? I'm gonna tell you that this in this soup and this stuff right here, oh my gosh, I love this stuff. I need to figure out a way to make this like all natural and clean eating. So if you feel like your soup is just missing something, try adding other things to bring it to life. And these would be my top 2 picks when I'm not trying to keep something super clean and on track. So, all right, soup is stirred and seasoned well. Now I'm gonna warm this baby up. All right, next up, let's talk noodles. I like this one because it's a good hearty noodle. You could do an egg noodle too. Whole wheat is always my top choice. I like this brand because it's all clean for this particular product.
Can you help me put my hands in here?
Yes.
So I can.
Our 2 little lovey bears here with me making this yumminess. We're making some
soup.
Good from scratch chicken noodle soup.
I want some chicken noodle soup.
Okay, we're gonna do it. Kyler's is getting ready for his Zoom. Caden is hiding out. He's got something underneath his clothes that he doesn't want.
And when we go on the walk, I'm going to take my pants off and my shirt off, and then I'm going to try my Spider-Man.
You're Spider-Man. They shut Kyler's school down for COVID and short staffingness.
Okay, Mommy.
So he's been with me and I love it. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so I'm gonna cook this just under, like kind of just al dente because I want it to, yes, baby, give me 1 second. I want it to be able to withstand being frozen. And so I don't want it super mushy, if that makes sense. And I make sure my water is heavily salted. Okay, friends, we are at the finish line. I love making food like this because I feel like it's just love in a form of food. Food is love, right? It's a way to show love to people. So what I'm going to do now is carefully remove my lemon. So next step, I'm going to remove this lemon, and basically once your soup comes to a reboil, I feel like it's done. I don't want to overdo it with my lemon because I don't want it to have a chance to turn my soup bitter. Okay, so that's done. You can throw that lemon away, give it a good stir. You can taste it again at this point, make sure it's well seasoned. And then I'm just gonna take that hearty pasta. I like to use the one I showed you because it doesn't break down as easily. One trick I do too, take a little salt and pepper right when it comes out and just coat that with salt and pepper. You can even do a little drizzle of olive oil too, just for fun. All right, then very carefully, I'm gonna add all of this, and I'm pretty to the brim. In fact, I'm gonna turn my slow cooker off and unplug it. And very carefully, I'm gonna transfer my noodles into this pot of beautiful broth. It's got chicken, it's got all those vegetables. It had the bone from the bones that we used. So you've got bone broth from scratch in here. It's got the health benefits of turmeric and lemon and garlic. It is the perfect soup when you're not feeling well or you just want a healthy little treat to feed your family, or like I said, to share with friends. So you can decide what noodle ratio you want for your soup. So I kind of just start a little at a time, stir some in, and then take a peek at it to see what it's looking like. So I'll show you how mine kind of comes together. Oh, you guys, do not miss this recipe. It is absolutely just soul food right here. This is going to feed and nourish your body and soul. I like to use the whole amount of pasta, and I believe that was a pound for me. And that way everybody has plenty of noodles, plenty of vegetables in every bite, plenty. And I'm telling you, it freezes well if you have a hearty noodle like this. What I would do now that the noodles are added is I would taste it once again before you serve it up or gift it out, and just make sure everything is spot on. Look at all that. I'm telling you, healthy, delicious, just such a great gift for friends or to your own family. Let me show you kind of how I like to deliver it when I do have someone in my circle who maybe needs a gift or just a little lovey. Maybe they're feeling under the weather, or you never know why, but I love these little mason jars. And this is a 2-liter jar, and they have the cutest little hooks. And so I just wash these really well, and I'll fill these up with soup, and then I pair them with these cute little tiny breadsticks. Look how cute those are. I wouldn't say tiny, but you know, cute little breadsticks. And I put them in a cute little gift bag with a letter or a little note that says, "We're thinking of you. Here's a little lovey. Hope you feel better soon," or whatever it is. And it just makes it a sweet little treat to give to friends and family. So you guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this. It does take a little TLC, but oh, it's so worth it. And I did give you a few shortcuts if you don't want to do it over a 2-day period. That can speed it up. But if you do have the time to just really pour into this pot of goodness and take 2 days to pull it together, it is revolutionary. And I always do try to keep a big batch of this in my freezer when possible, just because you never know when someone gets sick. You might not have time to take 2 days to pull something like this together, but you can always pull it out of your freezer, let it defrost, and then put it in some type of cute jar for your friends or family too. Thank you guys so much for watching. What is your favorite comfort food? Comment down below and I will do my best to make it for you in a cleaned up version, and I'll give you a shout out when I do. Thank you. Please share me with your friends. This is my dream, to be cooking with all of y'all. I love it. It just speaks to my heart, and I love to just share what I love with all of you. In a way, I feel like we're kind of sharing a meal together. So thank you for watching. God bless you guys, and stay healthy and safe. Bye.